Good morning and welcome everyone to Roslyn Hill Chapel, a spiritual home for open minds. My name is Reverend Kate Dean and I am proud to serve as the minister for this Unitarian community. And whoever you are and however you are this morning, you are all very welcome to our spiritual community. Our children's chapel programme Bright Lights and Creche will be led today by Maya and Angelica, and so the children can go off for their activities a little later. And babies under 2 are welcome at the creche but need to be accompanied by an adult. We also had a lovely first toddler group yesterday in the chapel. Our Saturday club will continue on the first Saturday of the month, and I want to thank all of those volunteers who helped to make it such a wonderful occasion. As you can see, we've laid out plenty of chairs for you, but we do ask that you keep an empty seat between people for social distancing, to use hand sanitizer and wear masks wherever possible, especially when you're moving around the building. Today we welcome our guest speaker, Indra Sikdar, who joined us as a chapel member last year. Indra says that he feels that via Unitarianism he can really appreciate both his Indian Hindu background and the more traditional British culture and beliefs that he holds. And so today's service draws on the ancient wisdom from the Hindu tradition. This evening at 7 p.m. we will continue on this subject, this month's theme being Cultivating Relationship, and there'll be an invitation to share your thoughts and reflections on that subject. A reminder that next Saturday, the 9th of October, there'll be the heritage performance Breaking the Silence of the Slave Trade, but please book online for that or via the chapel office. It is a free event, but we need to have people register in advance if possible. Also next Sunday, we welcome the return of our Labyrinth walking meditation. That's on Sunday evening, the 10th of October at 7 p.m. Again, places are limited for this, so we do ask you to please reserve your place via the website. And you can find out more details of these and all of our chapel activities on our website, where you can also download our monthly newsletter, Open Mind. If you don't have online access, then copies of the newsletter are available from our stewards. Do join us after the service for refreshments. We'll be serving tea and coffee, fingers crossed, at the back of the chapel, a new innovation for us, which we haven't had for many months. And if you're watching at home, you can join the tea and conversation via the virtual side aisle. The Zoom link is in the, if you click the Connect link on the YouTube description, you'll find the Zoom link there. We are an independent registered charity and we rely on your contributions to continue our work. And you can donate via the donate button on our website or by leaving a gift aid envelope in our basket at the back of the chapel after the service. And thank you for the many ways that you contribute to our spiritual community via your time, your talent, and your treasure. We begin our service now by lighting the chalice, the symbol of our liberal Unitarian faith, which we celebrate as our freedom to explore our own personal beliefs together. Let this flame symbolize the light of wisdom in the world, from the great religions to our own humble common sense, from scientific discoveries to the teachings of philosophers and sages. May we never forget that there is always more we can learn, and may we delight in the knowledge that enriches our lives. Now let us sing together a hymn, All Are Welcome Here, The words are in your order of service, and John will play through the tune just to remind ourselves, and please rise after the introduction once John has played. Please be seated. Now we come together as a spiritual community on Sundays, and we like to get to know one another. So I invite you now to turn to someone near you to say your name and welcome them to chapel this morning. It's always lovely to hear the bubbling conversations, and I hope we can continue them over tea and coffee after the service. But for now, I have a story for all ages, so if we have children and young people, if you'd like to come forward and sit with me at the front here. Hopefully people can hear me through this microphone as well. So we're going to be learning a little more about the Hindu faith, and I have a story from the Hindu tradition, and it's all about two brothers who were the sons of, of the god Shiva and the goddess Parvati. And this starts really with a mango. This was no ordinary mango, it was a very special mango. A very wise man, a sage, came to visit the god Shiva and gave him this mango which had special powers. Well, he wanted to pass it on to his sons, and his sons were called Ganesh. You may have heard of Ganesh, he's the elephant god, and his brother Kartikeya. But he didn't know which one to give it to. So he spoke to his wife Parvati, and they devised a special challenge for the two brothers. They said, whichever brother can race around the world 3 times the fastest can get the special mango. Well, this was quite a challenge, even for the gods. And the problem that Ganesh had was he was a bit on the chubby side and not very fit, and he was also riding on a little mouse, whereas his brother was super fit and very sporty, and he was riding on a super fast peacock. So who do you think is going to win? Kartikeya, maybe, yeah. Because, well, Ganesh was having a think about this, and he thought, okay, if I'm riding on a mouse and I might not win this race, maybe there's another way that I can get the mango. So he called his mother and his father together, and he asked them to sit down, and then he folded his hands and he walked around them 3 times. And then he said to them, Mother, Father, can I have the mango? And they said, well, why should we give you the mango? And he said, to me, Mother and Father, you are my whole world. So it's like I've raced around the world 3 times. Well, they thought that was actually quite clever, and you can see a picture of him walking around them here. And so they decided, yes, they were going to give him the mango. Well, meanwhile, Kartikeya is still trying to race around the world himself on his peacock, and so when he gets back, he finds, oh, Ganesh has got the mango. He's not very happy about it. And there are some different endings to this story. Some people said that Kartikeya got really, really angry, and some of them said that he flew down to the hills in India on earth, and he just decided he would meditate. I quite like that idea, that he was sort of really thinking about his feelings. And then his brother Ganesh came down and sort of apologized and made friends with him again and persuaded him to come back home. And in those hills, there's still a temple that is dedicated to Kartikeya. So I suppose what we can learn is, it's quite nice to be respectful to your parents, to your mum and dad, and to love them, but also to love your brothers and sisters as well, and try and still stay friends with them. So we're going to sing you out to your children's chapel. The words are in the service sheet if you'd like to sing along. We hope you enjoy your activities with Maya and Angelica today. Go I invite you now into a time of prayer and meditation. We come together in fellowship each Sunday with hearts full of joy and full of concern. If you are holding someone in your heart this morning, I invite you to say their name aloud in the coming moments of stillness, so that we may also hold them in our prayers. Spirit of life and love, God of our hearts, we give thanks for those who bring us joy, and we pray for the safekeeping of those whom we hold in concern. For all those names, spoken and unspoken, may they be surrounded by the loving kindness we offer them today. Blessed be, and Amen. Our reading this morning is from the Bhagavad Gita. The Gita is a source of ancient wisdom and moral guidelines, which has influenced great thinkers across the world, including Unitarians and Transcendentalists such as Henry David Thoreau. Although difficult to date, it was probably compiled a few centuries before Common Era. And this extract is taken from a conversation between Lord Krishna and his pupil, the warrior Arjuna, just before the epic battle of Kurukshetra. They sit between two armies as Krishna teaches Arjuna the right path to take when faced with conflicting duties, his duty to fight against evil, and yet his duty to his family. In this reading, Krishna explains the theory and practice of karma yoga, or worship through one's work or activities. And so Krishna says, "You have control over doing your respective duty only, but no control or claim over the results. The fruits of work should not be your motive, and you should never be inactive. Do your duty to the best of your ability, O Arjuna, with your mind attached to the Lord, abandoning worry and selfish attachment to the results, and remain calm in both success and failure. The selfless service is a yogic practice that brings peace and equanimity of mind. Work done with selfish motives is inferior by far to the selfless service. Therefore, be a selfless worker, O Arjuna. Those who work only to enjoy the fruits of their labor are verily unhappy, because one has no control over the results. A karma yoga, or the selfless person, a karma yogi or selfless person, becomes free from both vice and virtue in this life itself. Therefore, strive for selfless service. Working to the best of one's ability without becoming selfishly attached to the fruit of work, is called karma yoga or seva. Let us pray. Our time of prayer and stillness begins with a Sanskrit prayer, followed by a few moments of stillness. O God, let there be peace in the heavens, peace in the atmosphere, peace on earth. Let the waters be cooling, the herbs healing, and the plants enhancing of life. Let there be harmony between us and peace for all beings in the universe. With perfection in knowledge, let peace pervade everywhere. May this peace be within me as well. Om Shanti, 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 Om. O peace, peace, peace. Om Shanti, 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 Om. O peace, peace, peace. Now today we return to our practice of inviting you to come forward and light a candle for your joys or concerns during our music for reflection. So if you would like to do this, please do come forward and take a candle and light it from our chalice flame. I now invite Indra to give our address.
Good morning, everybody. Lovely to see you here this bright morning. Hi. So what I'd like to say, or start off with, is asking that how many of you have had a rather peculiar couple of years, these last 2 years. Do you want to raise your hands? Yes, quite a few of you, because of the COVID pandemic. We haven't been able to cultivate the relationships that we normally do in the usual manner. For example, we've not been able to go to pubs or to visit churches, or even in some cases to go to work in a proper fashion. But we human beings are quite a resourceful group of people, and certainly ourselves as a family, we decided that once a month, on the first Sunday of the month at 5 o'clock, we will hold a family Zoom meeting so that we can mix with family members from 3 different continents. So we have family members living in America, in Europe, and in Asia. And at 5 o'clock on the first Sunday of the month, we meet up on Zoom, and it's so lovely to see everybody's faces, and we chat about family matters. And that way we cultivate relationships. In fact, the relationships have been cultivated so much that one of my cousins was saying that we should very soon have a real family reunion in person. Also, for the last 2 years, I've mainly been working from home, and I've been using a laptop computer, and also we have an app called Microsoft Teams, and with Microsoft Teams we have been able to have team meetings with all the remote workers, and also we've had a few informal meetings, and we have given them names like breakfast meeting or coffee morning meeting with managers. And that too has been a wonderful experience, again, to see everybody's faces and to have that sort of informal chat that you would normally have perhaps in a coffee room or when you're waiting at the photocopier for the photocopies to finish. But today we're in this wonderful spiritual setting, so I wanted to concentrate on what spirituality means to me. And also I wanted to include the Hindu religion, which I was born into, and also I'm mindful of the main theme for today, which is cultivating relationships. So first of all, what does spirituality mean to me? Quite simply, it's 2 things. First of all, does the ideology or spirituality that you follow help a person to have a peace of mind? That's one yardstick. And the second one is that does your ideology or the way of life actually help to create a peaceful, prosperous, and tolerant society? So I wanted to measure Hinduism according to these 2 yardsticks. So first of all, does Hinduism help someone to have more peace of mind? And I think the answer is yes, because Hinduism is quite an inward-looking religion. It asks us to examine ourselves, know ourselves. And if we know, for example, what sort of friends we want to have, what sort of activities we want to have, what sort of job we want to work in, then we can move forward in our lives with a little bit more clarity, a little bit more conviction. Hinduism also has other techniques such as meditation and yoga, which can help in this process. Secondly, does Hinduism help to bring about a peaceful, prosperous, and tolerant society? Again, I would say it does, because I have studied a little bit of history, and I've found that some people from certain countries, nations, or religions have in the past gone and conquered other nations, and they wanted them to adopt a particular lifestyle or a particular religion. But this hasn't happened so much with Hinduism. Because Hinduism, the word Hindu is actually a corruption of the word which is a name of a river. And this particular river is known as the river Sindhu. In ancient Sanskrit, it was called River Sindhu. And the people who lived along the banks of the river Sindhu had found out something rather unique. They found out that if they tolerated people who worship God with different images, then they could live in a particular prosperous and tolerant way. So even to this day, if you go to a modern Hindu person's house, you might well be greeted by the image of Ganesh, the elephant-headed god, to greet you at the door. Or if there is a student in the household, you might find the student is worshipping the goddess Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge. Or if in that household there is a businessman, then you might find that they're worshipping the goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. I don't know exactly how this came about, this idea of worshipping God in different forms, but in my imagination, I just took a little bit of a journey back, and I thought maybe one day a man married a woman, and they were deciding which deity the family would worship. And as any good couple, they might have come to a compromise, and perhaps they thought that why don't we worship both the gods? Maybe the gentleman preferred the god Krishna, and the lady preferred the god Ram. So you could have both the deities in your altar. And that is what happens in many Hindu households. Even if you go to the Hare Krishna temple in Watford, in the prayer room, you'll find many different deities are in the prayer room. Or in the Swaminarayan temple in Neasden, you'll find different carvings of the different deities there in marble. So it's well worth having a look. But not only do Hindus worship God in different forms, but in different ways as well. And these different ways are known as yoga, which is communing with God. And there are 4 different types of yoga. The first being, it's called Raj Yoga. Raj Yoga is breath control. So when somebody is meditating, they can control their breath, and in that way they can commune with God. It's quite a difficult technique, but some people have been successful with the Raj Yoga technique. The second technique is known as Karma Yoga, the idea of yoga through work and action. So imagine, if you will, that you're a teacher and you're teaching all these students. You could in some ways think that you are serving humanity through the children. Or you might like to think that the children are children of God. I think this is quite an effective way of worshipping, because if you're going to work anyway, then you can do the 2 tasks, work and worship, at the same time. The third type of yoga we have is called Bhakti Yoga. This is the yoga which is through love and devotion. And in the summer months, you'll find that in London there is a festival known as the Rath Yatra, the Hindu Chariot Festival. And this is the day that the different deities in the temple actually are taken out of the temple, put on a chariot, and actually taken for a little bit of a view around the particular town that the temple is in. So in London, the Chariot Festival takes place from Hyde Park Corner to Trafalgar Square. There are 3 very large chariots. They're actually so large that they're pulled physically by 20 devotees in the front. And at the back, there's a rope with 10 devotees at the back should the chariot need to come to a halt, perhaps at a traffic light. And there are 3 different deities that are put onto these chariots. There's Jagannath, Balaram, and Subhadra. And while these chariots are being pulled, the devotees bang on drums. These drums are known as miradangam, and they clash on some cymbals known as kartals. And there is a lot of singing and dancing that goes on, and the devotees wear very bright colored clothes. So it's a really electric atmosphere, and at that time you can feel very happy, light of heart, and feel at one with God. Lastly, there is a yoga called Jnana Yoga, or yoga through knowledge. And this is a type of yoga that we do in the Rosalind Hill Unitarian Chapel, I believe, as well, because once a week we have a discussion group where we discuss about a particular topic. And I and others input our own experiences, and we listen to other people, to listen to their experiences. And normally at the end of the meeting, Kate says, "Would you like to give some concluding words?" And often I put up my hand and I say, yes, I have inputted some information to this discussion, and I've listened to other people, and I have learned this particular fact. So I've become a little bit of a better person through this knowledge. So this is Jnana Yoga. So in conclusion then, I would like to say that it's my belief that Hinduism is quite a live and let live type of religion. The reason I say that is because within Hinduism you can worship God in many different forms, and as we have described today, in at least 4 different ways as well. In a funny sort of way, I think there seems to be a parallel between ancient India, the civilization along the river Sindhu, where people used to worship God in different forms and different ways, and modern Britain today. Because we have had some immigration, and we have got people living in London in particular from different countries, different nations, different religions. And there's a wonderful opportunity for us too in Britain today to embrace diversity. And I also feel that those of us in the Unitarian Church, we embrace diversity already. We like to meet different people, particularly when they walk through the door. We give them a warm welcome. So it's more or less second nature. But for some people, perhaps outside of the Unitarian Church, the idea of meeting with someone who is diverse might be a little bit daunting. So for those people, particularly if they're at work, I would have thought the best thing is to work with a person who's different from you on a particular project, because then you're working on something that you're doing together. You've got a common aim in mind. And then if the project is successful and you want to become friends with the person you're working with, who's maybe a little bit different from you, at that point, if you wish, you can raise some issues and you can perhaps discuss about the different ways you think, the different lifestyles you have, and so on. So in conclusion then, I would say value the similarity between people first, give that precedence, and then as a secondary matter, if you wish to become friends with someone and you're comfortable to do so, at that point you can talk about some of the differences as well and get to know your new friend a little bit better. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Indra. That was great. And now we will sing our final hymn. This is in the insert inside your service sheet. It's called Now I Recall My Childhood, and the words are based on writings by the Bengali poet Rabindranath Tagore. Our blessing is inspired by a Sanskrit prayer. O God, may all be happy. May all be free from misery and sickness. May we all be in harmony and friendship, and may we all be free from pain. May it be so. Please be seated. Thank you, John, for the beautiful music, and thanks so much to Indra for those inspiring words. And thanks to all of our helpers who've made this morning so wonderful. If you're at home, then the virtual side aisle will open in about 5 minutes. And those of us in the chapel, please do join me at the back of the chapel for our hot drinks. We've got a one-way system going on, so if you can go to your left and round and collect your drink, help yourself to a drink, and come back into the nave or go outside and enjoy the sunshine. Let's enjoy each other's company. Thank you, everyone.